If you need like a bathroom break or anything, definitely let us know. We're more than happy to pause and let you go and do all that stuff too.
I wore a diaper for this, okay?
Did you? Oh, perfect.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, girl.
Thanks for coming.
Well, hello, America, and thanks for coming. My name's Seth. What's yours?
Hello, it's Jamal again.
Hi, it's Stony.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Thanks for Coming, the most fabulously gay podcast there ever is. I have to say that I'm just a hair nervous today because we have a special guest with us. Well, I guess we'll refer to them as a queer artist that you may have seen on season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race or All Stars 3 of Drag Race, or listen to many of their amazing albums on Spotify or preferably purchased on iTunes.
Amen, sis. Amen.
Welcome, Aja.
Hello. Good morning. I wanted to say so. You know, I wasn't sure what was the code of conduct for our language. And I definitely know. Wait, y'all are located in Oregon, right?
I'm in Portland, and those two are in Indiana.
Yeah,
Okay.
Midwest.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, we're like covering all coasts right now.
Yeah.
Queen, all the time zones.
Oh man, I definitely was gonna be like, I know you can edit this out anyway, but I was gonna be like, I know you just want to call me a faggot. It's okay. I know that for some people find it distasteful and they get offended, and I don't want to offend anyone. Not that I care, but you know, I care slightly about people's emotions.
Yeah, we don't mind. We're very easygoing guys, and you're more than welcome to curse and say whatever you want.
Say whatever. Yes, that's right. Say whatever is on your spirit.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, of course, you know, to get things started, I feel like we have a pretty clear starting point because, you know, Aja and us, we came together over Twitter, and
She didn't.
No tea, no shade between us. You know how things can come off on Twitter. So it definitely wasn't like that. So I guess, Jamal, do you want to kind of explain from your side how things started?
Oh my gosh, I feel like the child that like I broke the window, but I'm trying to blame it on someone else.
You were definitely the messy one last night.
Okay.
I'm just like trying to watch Drag Race, and this queen is like tweeting away.
Was Jamal turned? Was he turned?
I actually was not. Surprisingly so, I was not. So here we go. Here's the story.
Okay.
What had happened was, so Queen Aja, what we like to do on Thanks for Coming is tackle any drama that there may be. We like to find out if it is drama before it is. And I was in the space of, okay, I see what Drag Race is trying to do with this narrative. So let me kind of throw out a hot take based on an old WoW Presents show that I saw. I believe it was called Follow Me. And it was basically a day in the life kind of doc following Aja's life and their day-to-day entertainment, all the zhuzh that goes into Aja.
Yes.
Yes, right, zhuzh. And I was just like, you know what? Let me say this because I have diva tendencies myself, so no harm, no foul. You know, Aja seems like a diva though, like blah, blah, blah. We'll post a tweet. I have no shame. But Aja, I did not at her or anything because, you know, we have manners on this show. We have manners.
Yeah. We might have to be like those other fans.
Because it's not that deep. And I was like, let me just throw this out there for the listeners. They'll know where I'm coming from. And the point being is, I'm not trying to say Aja is a diva and this is why the dollhouse broke up. Like, that was not my intention. What we like to do on the show is start a conversation. And that's what I wanted to do with you, Aja, because as a person of color and a queen who is always misunderstood, now I'm not on anybody's stage, but I like to do my best to rise up in the corporate space. So I'm like, hey, relatable
Life
content.
is a stage.
Ooh, that's right. Life is a stage. So I guess The Office is my stage.
I like that.
But anyway, I was like, let's go to the bottom of it. I'll make a comment, allude to a conversation, and then we'll talk about it on the episode. Because Drag Race and any reality TV show, it's going to be hard to really get a grasp of who that person is. That's not the real person that you're seeing right on the screen. They may have said this and did that, but there could be some cut and paste happening and some rearranging here and there. So apologies, Miss Aja, and to the fandom, if anything.
No, you don't owe nobody an apology. You're fine. You didn't say anything wrong, honestly. I mean, I am a diva. I'm high maintenance. I'm not gonna say I'm not. You know what it is? It's just I know what I want. I know what I like, and a lot of things, especially as a New Yorker who's native, I have a lot of been there, done that. Like, we get exposed to bullshit at a young age. So it's just kind of like, you ever go to a restaurant and somebody's like, you want to try this? And you're like, ugh. And they're like, no, not until you try it. And you're like, I did try it.
Yeah.
For me, some things in life are like that. Like, so, I don't think you did anything wrong. I do think that when I saw the Follow Me documentary, however, I was like, I see what they did here. But
See, that was my reaction. I was like, why are they doing this to my good sis? And that's why I threw it out there the way I did. I was like, let's watch the haters bite and then we'll snatch them on the episode.
But the hater was me. No, I'm kidding. No, I feel like, I was very feeling my pussy for a long time, to be honest with you. But not in like a, oh my God, I'm better than you way, and more in like, I really don't want to waste my time. I'm barely sleeping. I'm going from stage to stage to stage to stage, and everyone wants a piece of something, but nobody has nothing to offer. I'm a Capricorn. I'm about my money. I'm about my business. If you don't have a dollar sign next to your name and my time is in the negatives already, I don't want to hear it.
Yes.
And, and now I'm in a relaxed point because, I'm kind of focusing on myself and doing my own shit. And bitch, COVID is already its own fucking disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay socially and I guess it would still be socially conscious and just not break any rules. I've been home since April. When the pandemic started, I was on tour. I was in Australia. And now, girl, terrifying. I stayed in LA for a month because I knew New York was gonna blow up. I came back to New York in the middle of the blue,
the epicenter.
Yes. And, I just stood home the whole time. I didn't want to put anybody at risk. I see my mom very often. She's almost 70. And this woman catches fucking bronchitis from a cold. So I was like, you know what? She's being less careful than I am, if I'm being honest. But it's been always like that. I just know what I like. I come from a place where you have to hustle. You have to make it because nobody's going to make it for you. And I think that that's a big misconception sometimes, especially with people like me, that a lot of people go, why you?
Yep.
You're not the biggest, you're not the most beautiful, you're not the most talented, you're not this. And my response is always, I did what nobody else had the fucking balls to do. Mm-hmm. And that's always what it is. I'm a go-getter. If I say I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of wild to hear. Like, does anybody actually say those things to you? Because I don't think of you in that manner at all.
People will never say these things to your face.
Wow.
You can address it. I have addressed so many people so many times. Like, I heard you said this about me. I would never say that. And I'm just here like, you pussy ass bitch. Just fucking say it.
Hello.
I have a problem with you. I'm going to tell you, I don't like you. Why? Because you said this about me. You did this to me. This was shady. If that makes me a bitch, then so be it.
See,
that's right.
And I totally get that because I am also a Capricorn. So Capricorn sis over here.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I operate through life as well. It's like, well, like I remember everything everybody says. Like, whenever people are always like, how do you remember all these details? I'm like, girl, it stays here. Like, I'm not gonna punish everybody every day, but it's there when it needs to be.
Sis, my entire you know what? You want to know something? I have screenshots. I save receipts from conversations that nobody expected to. There's gonna be one day where bitches try shit and you gotta pull out the receipts.
That's right.
You gotta let people know, no, that's not what was said. This is what was said, and this is how it was said, and this is what it meant.
That is right.
You know what? Because people, okay, when you're a big personality, because I think I'm a big personality. And when you're a big personality, people often try to use, here's the thing. It's ironic because people know they can't knock you down. Like, I always let people know, bitch, I will get struck by thunder before you ever knock me off.
Yes, amen.
But they know that with people like me, we are our worst enemy.
Oh yeah, big time.
So what they try to do is they try to turn you against yourself. And
Yep.
I've seen it happen to a lot of powerful people.
Mhm.
And you know, just for the reference that I said powerful, because I guess it's for a lack of better words. What I mean is people who are very much in control of themselves, very aware, conscious. You know, the thing is, we're stuck with a lot of aloof motherfuckers these days.
Yeah.
Oh
all
my
these TikTok
gosh.
kids.
Bitches with no common sense, no motivation. No, they don't know nothing. You could be like, oh, girl, blah, blah, blah. What?
Oh my gosh. Say it again
my
for
God.
the people in the way back. I swear I say something like that every week, don't I?
Yeah.
Every week.
And sometimes the stuff I see these people doing, like on Twitter, especially, like with not specifically to you, but just the queens in general, like it's just like, girl, why would you even say this?
Yeah.
Why? And if
People
you are,
tag
go
me.
ahead.
People tag me and private message me ridiculous shit. When that first 10-minute bullshit came out, because honestly, at first I was like, I ain't gonna watch this shit. And then I was like, okay, I'll watch it for Candy. And then I got back to like, I'm not gonna watch this shit. But I saw it. No, I didn't see it first. I got text message. First, I got a million text messages from people like, are you okay? Like, I got text
Oh, no.
messages from like Shay, from Farrah. I'm like, what is going on?
Oh my
Why is
gosh.
everyone asking me if I'm okay? Girl, of course. And then, you know, after that, I was just like, well, here we are.
Here we are.
You know, I'm like, I guess. And I started getting, you know, messages, people telling me, oh, fuck you, bitch. You're jealous of Candy. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God.
That is so ridiculous how people just respond that way
I mean,
immediately.
you know, I mean, to me, it was just like, what's your point? Like, what did you think you did? Like, like you, okay. You know, I think some people think the internet is a real place. And I think that they are stopping bags, that they are like, bitch, I ended you. You're canceled. Bitch, to me, I sit there and I go, let me go check my bank account real quick. Hold on.
Oh,
That's right.
We good.
Oh,
That's right. Let them live in their fantasy while the rest of us are out here in reality, disconnecting when we need to and muting your ass when we need to.
yeah. This pandemic has been fierce because part of me is like, I have a lot of free time and I love to come back with the girls online. I love to be like, and what, bitch? And what? You know,
I love a petty moment.
but you know, because a lot of people don't expect you to do it. Like they be like, oh, like they're looking for, I'm like, you went looking for a reaction and you got one.
Right?
Now what?
Yeah.
It's like, Merry Christmas to you, bitch. Like you got some of my time free. I mean, it's good to know that I will never be homeless because I literally live rent free in so many people's fucking minds. It's just like,
Ugh, it's so
I will-
crazy. I just don't understand. Like, we talk about this a lot on the podcast. Like, I just don't understand like why people feel the need to like be so hateful on the internet all the time. Like, because like, you know, we watch Drag Race as fans, and like obviously we have our own opinions about like different looks and just like things that people do on the show. But I've never like had the urge to just like tweet at like a queen and be like,
Never.
you know, that was fucking terrible, or you did this and that. It's like, to me, it's just like a show and it's like entertainment, but that's
Mhm.
where it ends. So it's very confusing to me that like people feel the need to like attack the queens online. It's so weird.
It's wild.
it is really weird. And you know, it's crazy because people, you know, a lot of the fandom likes to push this narrative that all fandoms are like this. And I'm like, no, it's not. You know,
Mm.
there is a weird, like deep rooted, like racism and classism in the Drag Race fandom where they sort of uphold everyone to be into some template. It's sort of like the beauty standards in America,
Yep.
like where
Yeah.
there becomes a template. And I believe that it was after like season 7 of Drag Race where they made the template drag queen. And then it was like every queen who didn't fit that for a few years was like, oh, you were trash, you're ugly, you're disgusting. And then it became like out of nowhere, you know, then it became like, you know, and I'm going to say this, not because it's edgy, but because it's true. And then all of a sudden, liking the Black queens became popular. And now people are like pro the Black queens. And to me, I'm like, okay, well, watch next year when Black lives no longer matter to these bitches anymore.
Thank you.
And then they're going to be like, whatever, which it never stopped the people from being like, oh, you know how many times I've seen these black girls are winning just because of Black Lives Matter.
Yes. So tiring. That happened to me. I'm not even like a big fish influencer. I have a little blog and this podcast, and I got at least 5 like reach out type emails, pitches. They're like, hey, we'd really like to feature you. And one of them was like, actually, we've been in communication before and you didn't want to work with me the way you're trying to work with me now. So what is it?
I think, okay. Now we're getting deep and we just started.
Yeah, baby. Let's do it.
And this is sort of a kind of way that I'm going to correlate this to Drag Race in many ways too. But, people don't understand the concept of black baiting, of, trans baiting. When you were not in the support of something, but you saw you were losing support, so you decided to quickly and greatly embrace, but without apology.
Right.
And to me, that's when someone's identity becomes a trend, and the support becomes more of a fad than it is a genuine support. And I want to say it too, like that's how I felt about at first, honestly. And I don't know, I don't work for fucking casting, I don't work for Drag Race, I don't know what the fuck is going on there, but I've been wanting to see like a trans person be on the show for a long time. And after season 9, when RuPaul made those like really lewd statements about trans and what it was to be trans and why trans people were not on the show, I was very happy that Gottmik was cast on the show, because Mick has been a very hardworking performer and entertainer and artist, and I really hope that they were cast in genuinity. And either way, they're successful and they have a lot of support, and I know they're going to be loved by the fans. But I hope that this is not a trend and that it continues. And I hope that next year we see trans women and newer faces. Like I want to keep seeing it. So, I'm happy for that. But like that at the same time, I still feel like RuPaul should come forward and make an apology of what she said, because, people said she did, but I don't remember this. And
it doesn't register for me either, not to cut you off, but I feel like we talk about this all the time on the show. We actually started the podcast on All Stars 3. And we were kind of RuPaulologists for a while. And then finally it was like a shift one episode. We're like, we need to hear something from the top.
Well, because also too, when Black Lives Matters was really surging, RuPaul was silent. Like, yeah, maybe we saw some statement from VH1, but RuPaul never really said anything. And that was really weird. Especially RuPaul as a person of color, queen of color. She knows the struggle that, you all go through more than her now, probably, because you're not, you're on different levels of whatever. But I mean, it was really disheartening to see RuPaul not say anything when that was going on.
I didn't expect her to say anything, to be honest. I mean, RuPaul has never really spoken up about anything that wasn't on camera, or like, at the same time, I think about like what RuPaul said to the Vixen at the reunion. And when she said, she was like, I'm a black man, you're a black man, I went through what you went through, which one is completely invalid, because I feel like not only are all black experiences different, I feel like, RuPaul is someone who had a lot of support from a lot of like club kids, and especially like powerful, like, white party people and the industry, also someone who played into the trope they were expected to play. I mean, let's not joke. Like RuPaul in the early 90s wasn't giving very much like, I hate this word, but sass, like, she was playing into the character that people wanted. And, she did a good job and she became famous, and good for her. But, that moment showed me personally that I don't really think she's very much like, I don't think she has anything to say. I don't think it's that she's against it. I just don't think she has an opinion on it. I think she's very much, RuPaul is in her bag.
She has the money. She's like, I'm good, whatever.
And the way I felt about it too is I was like, you know what, you're a black man, and honestly, I feel like racism is honestly a white person's problem.
Yeah.
And that's the truth too. And I had this conversation with someone, a family member, and I was like, we were talking about it. And he just goes, honestly, he was like, as a black man in America, I don't really give a fuck. And he was like, you know, I'm not going to go out there and scream Black Lives Matter. He's like, you see all these white people doing it? Let them. He's like, you know, they're the ones who need to do the work. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I was like, work.
Yeah, that's tea right there, because that's the realization I came to this year. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at having conversations. I like to think I can have an open moment, but then there's been a few moments over the summer where that's been thrown in my face, like my words are twisted. So I'm very much there as well. The white people, hashtag not all white people, get out of our faces with that, need to do the work.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I feel like the work is there for the white community, but I do feel like at the same time, okay, you know, we have to treat it like if this was a panel, there would be, you know, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like people listen to white people more. I mean, that's just the reality.
Yeah.
But I feel like, you know, if the black moderators moderate and say, this is the tea, and then the white person delivers that message, a lot more people hear it. Right. I mean, in reality, people should just listen to black voices from the get.
Totally, yeah.
You know, that would make life.
Yeah, just at least 5% easier, maybe 5%.
I think that's like, so like, just so you know, like Jamal and I are married, but I grew up in like kind of like Southern Indiana, like conservative, like family. And like, to me, like, I think white people just need to educate themselves. Like, unfortunately, like our education system doesn't really do a good job of explaining kind of the injustices that have happened. So it's like white people especially need to, I don't know, open a book, watch some documentaries, like ask questions and not be so defensive, and actually just open your mind a little bit, because it's just so, I don't know. I feel like a lot of white people in this country are so set in their ways. And if they just, I don't know, went to it and talked to black people and actually listened to black people, we would be a lot better off. Because I had to do a lot of learning myself, like after I started dating Jamal. So,
you know, the real tea too is just that this country is built on oppression and the pillage and murder of indigenous people of culture, you know, under the name of God. Like,
Yes.
let's go take, you know, let's take all these people from West Africa and bring them to all these places because God told us so. And then, you know, let's take away their tradition, their identity, their names and everything. Let's kill all these indigenous people, claim this land. We found it. And then it's, you know, then it's like, you know, years later, you know, make them believe that they have a spot in this world, and then over time shove them into low-income neighborhoods, call it the ghetto, increase the crime rates, and then call it a conspiracy if anyone tries to, you know, go against it. It's really all bullshit. If you look at all the, you know, if you look at all the 60s headlines, the stories and everything, you know, you know, look at how heavily applauded Martin Luther King is, like for resisting. We're not doing anything, but look how people downplay Malcolm X, someone who really like took a different approach. You know, it seems to me that there is an acceptable way to be a black person in America, and if you're not that, then, you know, the white community doesn't want to have it. Meanwhile, you have a lot of, like, you know, white crimes. You have a lot of the same shit happening, but it's just looked at from a different scope. Why? Because that's what they've been doing this whole time. So it's just it's natural. But when, you know, when a person of color, a black person does it, suddenly it's animalized. It's tame the beast.
That's right. I was just talking about that randomly with the Real Housewives of Potomac and that whole drama. I was like, there's something happening here. It's too much to talk about in this little Instagram story I'm giving you, but Google colorism and good hair versus bad hair, good blacks, bad blacks. It's just way too much of that conditioning happening.
I hate that. I hate the idea of bad hair. I hate that. I hate it when people say that. When people say things like, for me, and it's difficult for me to navigate as a mixed race person too, because I get caught in the middle of things. For reference, my father's Nigerian, but through the byproduct of slavery in Puerto Rico.
Mhm.
And my mother is indigenous Puerto Rican, but her grandmother's Welsh. I don't know how that
Okay.
works. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm like, y'all travel too much. But you know, I get caught in the conversation sometimes where people don't realize that I'm part of the Black community, and then they say things to me like, you know, oh, like, you know, Black people are so ugly, and I'm like, whoa,
Oh my
I'm like,
gosh.
what?
Oh my gosh. Or you're cute for a Black guy.
Or oh, you know, you're the only Black person I've ever been with.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Oh my God. That has happened to me.
It's like so alarming too when people say that, because like I distinctly like remember a moment like where one of my relatives like we would be watching, I think it was American Idol, and she was like you know, an elder generation to me. She's like, oh, sing it right, don't sing it Black. And I was like, what? I was like, it's like so awkward because like you're so completely wrong. Like, why would you even say that out loud? Like, that's so fun. By the way, I'm not these people all got cut. They got cut loose in this whole Black Lives Matter.
Oh, Seth will cut a bitch out. Seth will cut a bitch out. You see.
These people are
Girl.
all like pushed away to the outer circle.
I have gotten so much of the Aja hates white people. Like, it's like, no, I don't hate white people. It's just like, bitch, like, don't be stupid. Like, just,
That was going to be one of my questions for you. It's now being kind of pushed into the public eye through Drag Race, and now you're kind of shifting, going into a music career. How do you navigate that, where you're just trying to be your authentic self and communicate, and you meet that kind of immediate pushback?
the
Like, if
pushback
people-
the pushback is mental. It's internet. The internet is not real. And I had a hard time navigating and understanding that in the first year or so. And I found myself fighting myself and fighting people who didn't matter, because I was like, you know, these people didn't even support me back then. They just want a reason to fight. And, you know, I started to realize, you know, I spent the whole year, like, I'll be real. By the end of 2019, I was on the phone with the suicide hotline like every day. Like, I was like, girl, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I was like sitting there just at it. I was done. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I have no reason to live. Like, you know, I'm done. Like, everyone's ruining my life. But then honestly, I had went and I sort of like took a reflection on my year, and I was just like, you know what? It's funny because all of this shit was just all talk. Nothing,
It's
like,
all on the internet.
all of my shows were amazing. Like, even there were a few shows that people gave me shit for like doing music, but like I was like, girl, like fuck those shows. Like, what about the ones that went great? Like, I don't want to discredit all the hard work I did and like, you know, all the other shit for just because, you know, that,
Right.
you know, granted, there was 2 shows in that whole year out of maybe like what 200 that I did that were terrible, and I remember them. It was Lisbon in Portugal, and it was Las Vegas. Oof.
Las Vegas.
Yo, let me tell you something. We started our set, and like there was like these just like twinks in the front, and they're like, "What the fuck is that?"
No.
Oh gosh, of course they were twinks.
Oh no, not the tweets.
Now, well, the thing is, I want to bring this to attention too. You know, I think that a lot of things, you hear me? A lot of times, people don't understand how difficult the intersection between Black culture and queer culture can be. And for me, as someone who does hip hop, it's difficult because queer people don't like hip hop, and a lot of people in hip hop don't like gay people. So, you know, when you become that person that's in that intersection, you have to find where your support is.
Yeah.
And I realized, honestly, that about 85 to 90% of my following from Drag Race was down for the ride. There was like a 10 to 15% that were like, nope. And, you know, I was like, you know what? Another thing too, and I think it's something that every Drag Race person should know, every girl, boy, them, they, I think everyone who goes on TV should know that the Drag Race fans are not your fans. They're fans of the show. A fan of you is not a person who just followed you on Instagram. So those followers don't mean shit. What matters is who's really showing up to support you for you. Not the people who show up to the show and go, is she gonna jump from It's the people who show up and have a genuine interest in you as a person. And of course, that's a fraction of what it is. And I can honestly say that out of all of my following, if I have, I've lost so many followers on social media from like not pandering to what people want me to do. Mm-hmm. But I think that where I'm at now, at least 80% is down for the ride, and it may be nowhere near what it could have been. But then that's when you differentiate, real from fake, honestly, and that's where you differentiate people who are hungry dogs and people who have integrity. And the thing about me is that I was not gonna lay my artistic integrity to rest because, some woman with a 2-year-old in Kansas City was like, I love you so much. Fuck you. Like,
whatever.
Okay. I'm talking about the girls who bring their babies to DragCon. They're like, she loves you. And I'm like, she didn't know who the fuck I am. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah.
It's very that. And the thing is, I have my own personal battle with drag, I guess. And I feel unfortunately I had that in public because I didn't really have an outlet,
Right.
I couldn't really go to therapy. I was on tour nonstop. And, what was really happening with me was that I was finding that when I took off the makeup and the hair, I was not really I never had a state of transformation. I never had a state of where I'm like, oh, I'm a different person or different being, or I'm on or off. I was like, no, I'm the same person. And I found that very weird. And when I started my first written project that was going to be published, which was In My Feelings, my first EP, which was, it was a more clubby, like house rappy type of like shit, like track record. And I struggled a lot with my gender at that time because I was like, okay, what perspective am I writing this from? Mm-hmm. And that's what made me realize that I don't think I'm a drag artist as much as a musician, because I said, wait, I can't write about things that are not prevalent in my life or relevant to me. Yeah. I don't have the ability to sit down and write boobs, hair, makeup, like I didn't relate to it. So everything that I wrote about was from personal experience. And that's what I found was working for me. So I continued to go down that route. I realized that I didn't want to perform gender. Drag was me performing a gender that I didn't have to perform because I could just live it. Mm-hmm. And
right.
That led to a year of me having this fight of if you're not doing drag, why are you dressed like that? Why do you look like that? That's drag.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
It pushed the struggle for me further because then I was just like, I feel now like I have to prove something.
Yeah.
And nobody should ever have to feel they have to prove their identity or where they come from. And it's also something that happened with the Drag Race fan base too, is I never went on Drag Race and said, hi, like, I'm Afro-Latino, like, hi, I'm in the Black community. So a lot of people pinned me as racially ambiguous. So when I started to really, no cap, I really whitewashed myself for television. And not just television, but when I started coming out in the drag scene in New York, I was shunned a lot. And people called me ghetto. Somebody accused me and like my friends, who were also people of color, of stealing shit all the time. Like, it was very that people would only book you to do high energy dance. Like, can you do a ghetto number? Can you do something like sass? Like, people love that.
Yeah.
And it became that. And, when I went on Drag Race, I was very much like, so I'm this and I'm that and blah, blah, blah. And it was, looking back at it now for me is so cringe because I'm just like, that's not me. Mm-hmm. And I think that all this, when I wrote my first project, all of this really surfaced for me. And I said, I have to be proud of who I am. I have to be proud of my roots. I have to stop feeling like ashamed for who I am because society tells me that I have to be. And, I realized that it was kind of fucked up on my part too, because I feel like as a light-skinned person, like I have the privilege of being able to pretend I'm not Black if I want to.
Yeah.
And, that I realized how dangerous that privilege was. And I realized how I didn't want to do that because if I do that, I'm selling my soul, and two, I started realizing like, especially like how difficult it was for like my darker skin, colleagues and it was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, if you're gonna attack these people, attack me too, because I'm part of that community, and if you talk about them, you talk about me.
Right.
That's right.
So, I mean, you see people attack Vixen and stuff like that. And I'll have to admit, like, I didn't quite understand where she was coming from at first, but, that's because I'm not, I wasn't educated enough at that point in my life. But then, she's really was ahead of the curve because, then after that, you see the Black Lives Matter movement. Everything she was saying on the show is like everything that was being said in the media. Like everyone finally just like somehow got it, like, and so then at that point I'm like, damn, like, I was too like tough on Vixen. Like she was just saying the truth. And I was the one that just didn't get it.
No, yeah, honestly, like it makes me really emotional to had like watch that whole thing and like kind of like see how it went down. And I felt really bad for the Vixen. And it was around the time where I got really vocal and I was like, this is and I was like, this is the tea. You have to like see where she's coming from. And I got a lot of backlash for it. I had a show in it was in Ireland. It wasn't in Dublin, but it was in Northern Ireland. What is that city called?
Hi Blue, Hydrangea.
Yeah, it was. She was there.
Oh wow.
I was a gig with her. Fuck. Whatever.
I'm trying to think.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know geography.
I was in Northern Ireland, and I was doing a song that I have called "Demons, Witches, and Bitches," and Vixen is on the track. And I was like, oh my God, and I always say that, I always say shout out to the Vixen. So I was like, shout out to the Vixen. Like she did this song with me and everyone in the crowd started booing.
Oh, no.
Damn.
Oh,
and I was like, wait, why are y'all booing?
Oh, no.
And there were people who were like, she's such a fucking bitch. Blah, blah. I was like, wait. I was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, and where do you get this from? They're like, oh, they were just kept booing. So I literally was like, fuck y'all. I was like, I was feeling it. Also, I also had a lot to drink. I was like, fuck y'all. I was like, you bunch of racist fucking pieces of shit. And I threw the mic on the floor and I left.
Oh yeah.
And I got so much backlash for it. Like people were like, oh wow, like really? Like, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, I ended up coming back a half an hour later and I just finished my set to be professional.
Yeah.
But I stated what I had to say and I said, y'all are fucked up. And I got a lot of backlash online, including someone trying to equate being Black to being Catholic in Ireland, quote unquote,
no.
saying that the Catholics were the niggers in Ireland. And I was like,
wow.
I literally
really
had to. First of all, I was like, I didn't say nothing because I was like, for one, I was like, you just hard-r'd while comparing Catholic people to what? I was like, no. First of all, Catholic people fucking enslaved half the world. What are you talking about? First,
Right.
I have never in my life have I heard a story about African people come to America and enslaving anybody.
Not
Right.
I was just like, what are you talking about? And it's just that type of thing. And, people love to play this game, and it's especially international. I had this conversation with a fan who was Brazilian, and they were like, why do you always act like you're Black? And I was like, well, I am a mixed race person. They were like, but in Brazil, you would be considered white. I was like, well, in America, everyone's fucking mixed. Get over it. And like, they were like, oh. And then they, we ended up going deep into the conversation because I really wanted to see where they're coming from. That's another thing about me is I am very diplomatic, and I want to see what you're saying because I want to make it make sense. Mm-hmm. And, they explained to me that in Brazil, a lot of people have internal racism, and that, if you even have a hint of lightness to your skin, you're like, I'm not Black. So they said, a lot of people get shamed and a lot of people, nobody wants to be Black. And I said, that's not as uncommon as you think. It happens a lot, especially in New York. We see it a lot in the Dominican community. We see it in the Puerto Rican community. You see it with people who don't realize that ethnicity and race are not the same. You know, and they're like, I'm not black, I'm this. But you know, sometimes you're like, girl,
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know what game you're playing, you know. But you know, and I think that type of division is so harmful. I mean, it's the reason why we have Dominican Republic and Haiti. You know, if people really look at the history of Hispaniola and how the French, you know, went and they colonized, and then when there was when the revolution happened, you know, there was still a lot of hush slavery and a lot of hush, you know, segregation, basically creating a part where there was all the black skinned people were on one side of the island and all the light skinned people were on another side.
Yep.
And that's what really created that. And, you know, but people don't know that. And people think that this obsession with race is an American concept. But it's because America is really the playground or battle zone where all of this shit really took place. You know?
Yeah.
So
And with I mean, I know they're, you know, the queens, they're trying to like help push, like, you know, they're trying to educate, I guess is maybe the right word, these fans. It's like, you know, I don't know if you watched the Build series with Monet that came out, I think it was like Thursday or Friday, but Monet specifically asked all the girls, like, what do you have to say to these fans that are you know, treat the black, you know, and the other people, the queens of color differently. So I thought that was really interesting because I don't think I've ever seen it like that question that blatantly asked, like, to the cast.
Oh,
I feel like that question should be asked because to be real with you, like, you know, there's been a few people from the past of the show who have made very big statements that were very well appreciated, but there have been a lot of people who ain't say shit either. Like, right. And I find that some of the people with huge platforms didn't say shit. And, you know, it's like, you know, how, in my opinion, how can you call yourself an ally to a community if you don't speak up when your voice is the most needed?
Definitely.
You know, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and too, with, you know, especially with the trans community of color, like, you know, I saw other podcasters that are Black, and, you know, they put out a podcast about, like, why, I don't even know exactly what it is, but it was basically like about how they don't about how like trans people are like whatever, you know, like their cis feelings about it or whatever. And so like it was just really uncomfortable because like I was trying to have a conversation. I'm like, if you know, I'm like here, like Black lives do matter, but like why are you not supporting all the Black lives? It's very confusing to me, that especially in their own community.
When people talk about, you know, trans lives, you know, they act very, very much like there's lives that are disposable. And in my mind, sometimes I just think like, you know, you should have been camed in someone's ass because you're acting like a piece of shit.
Hello.
And in that same breath, I just think like, you know, nobody ever told you how you had to do shit. So why sometimes I just don't understand what girl, it costs nothing to not be worried about someone's genitals, hormones, or business, and just support a life. Just support a life. Right. You know, I think like think about the person you love the most in your life, that person, whether it be your mom, your brother, your sister, whoever the fuck. Imagine that person wakes up tomorrow and realizes that they can't keep up with this lie, that they're like, you know what, I'm gonna go on hormones and I have to get these surgeries and I feel like I need to fit in the body. And even if they don't want to get surgeries or get on hormones, because there are trans people who don't feel comfortable with their gender but don't feel the need to do anything about it. Maybe they just want to dress differently. You know, people manifest in different ways. I like to tell people who say mean shit about the trans community, like, imagine the person you love the most doing that. Do you stop loving them because of that, or does it become a handicap? Suddenly you have something to think about? Because if it does, that means you are incapable of love, and it means that you are the problem.
That's right.
There
and no one likes looking in the mirror or the truth.
Right.
I love looking in the mirror. Speak to yourself.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to our podcast so far. Thanks for coming.
Right now, we're probably refilling our drinks, or maybe even gluing down our lashes again. While you wait, here's some things that you should check out.
Yeah, remember everyone, you can email us, tfcpod@gmail.com, and tfcpod on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Oh, and one more thing. You're not my real dad, and you never will be. Anyways, back to the show.
I mean, and I know on the show we very much champion trans people. We've done podcasts and stuff. We've had trans people on the show before. My question is, and this is something I was wondering, is what do you think about when people say like, oh, there's not enough trans queens on the shows, but then there are like non-binary and genderqueer people? Like, does that, to me, the way I understand it is that they kind of fall under the trans umbrella. So is that? I guess I'll let you talk at this point.
I think that anything that if you whatever feeling doesn't equate to your gender assigned at birth or sex assigned at birth or whatever it is, if you don't associate or feel like you are that, then I feel like you do fall under the trans umbrella. There's different terminologies, obviously, and there's going to be dense people like it's too much, and when people say it's too much, then I just be like, well, girl, I guess you'll never work in an office, you'll never be successful, you never have nothing, because obviously it's too much, meaning that you cannot grasp a single fucking concept.
Hello.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because it's like, I've heard on, not to start drama, but on other queens podcasts, I've heard things that didn't quite sit right with me, and because they were saying, I hope we're seeing all this things, we're seeing like all these trans people and these people of color being brought on the show. I would love to see that in Drag Race UK. And here in my mind, I'm thinking there are at least 2 queens that are non-binary on the Drag Race UK cast. I'm like, it feels like their identity is being invalidated.
I don't think it's being invalidated. I think that there's this shitty thing where people sort of base everything on presentation. I mean, that was what started the RuPaul controversy anyway, because she was like, oh, if you don't have surgeries or moans, that you're not fully trans, whatever that means. I feel like, people do, unfortunately, people do invalidate the identities of those who don't necessarily adhere to some societal construct of aesthetic or of something you see or look at. However, I think that I think most of all, even though people do devalidate that, I think the biggest injustice here is really 2 trans women. And I think that what we really want to see are new, fresh faces of trans women who, are allowed to be themselves from the start and do not feel the need, that they weren't pressured to present any other way, to get on the show. I want it to be so equal opportunity that tomorrow, we could get beautiful we can get someone like Sasha Colby, Aurora Sexton, someone who's just like, it's not a new transition. They're in the game. They're a known, amazing artist, not to discredit any other trans people who have been on Drag Race. I do feel like there's been a lot of coming out stories on Drag Race, and with the exception of Mick, who is a trans male, we've never had a fresh face come onto the race as trans and presenting how they feel the most comfortable.
Okay.
That's what I want to say, because I was trying to find the word for it, because Peppermint went on Drag Race trans as well. I mean, you don't wake up, it sounds silly, but you don't wake up one day and just go, I'm trans. You're trans since you were born. And, this is your identity, and but it's up to the person to decide when they want to flutter or when they want to like spread their wings. When they decide that person feels comfortable to present how they want to present, that's how it goes. And, when the producers didn't know Peppermint was trans.
Really?
I outed her by accident, actually.
Wow.
Oh.
And you don't see that because that didn't happen that same day. But Peppermint and me were working on the same team for something. I don't know what it was, to be honest with you. But I was sitting next to Peppermint and I said, wow, Pep, I have to tell you, I think it's so fucking cool that you're the first trans woman to ever walk into this room with trans women and be on the show. And she was like, thank you so much. Literally, I don't know where cameras, producers
cut.
Oh no,
Oh my
like-
gosh.
And then, you know, the next day, no, it was Snatch Game. Then the next day, suddenly it's a topic of conversation.
Oh no.
Oh, it's prompted
But,
by
you
the
know-
producers.
Oh no, I don't want to say it's them. I think they just wanted to find a way to put it into the show without it devalidating her story or without it not making sense.
Okay.
Because it would be really random. You know?
Right.
It was random. But you know, that was how I think they really found out. But I mean, I've heard sources claim that they knew the whole time. Girl, I don't know. I also don't really give a shit. But I do know that I was so happy. I was like, you know, if you being here is so fucking important. And I really wish RuPaul never said those statements, because when she made those statements, I believe somebody was like, well, what about Peppermint? And then that was when she was like, well, she didn't have this or that. Like, to me, that is where
Yeah.
it was.
She's quantifying their transness or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, I feel like trans. You hear me? I was gonna say trans was a woman. I feel like Peppermint has always been a woman in my eyes, and she never needed anybody's validation for that. But I was just so happy to see that. But I would love to see someone not having to feel uncomfortable or think twice, and knowing that they can come on
Yeah.
and in their little confessional, they can be full fucking, like, if you want to be fully beat and just like bam, like, you know, big old biddies. Like, I think that was, you know, seeing Gia on All Stars
Four.
four, yeah.
Yeah.
Was very refreshing when, you know, she was in her confessional and she was all dolled up, and I was like, yo, this is like so new
Mhm.
as a viewer, and I think it's so cool, and I think that it's you know, I know that she felt tokenized because she spoke up about it several times, but I think it was so cool as a viewer to finally see that representation, and you know, I hope we get to see more of that. I want
Us too.
I want to see more of that. And I want to see new faces too. I think all the older faces are just as important. There's a lot of trans women and trans identities that have come out the franchise. But I would love to see new ones added, like Meg and other trans people who feel comfortable in their right. But like, when I say comfortable, I don't mean with themselves. I just mean in the setting of the show, not feeling like they have to be pressured to be anything else.
That's right. They don't have to feel that need to edit for anybody else, unless it's like, you know what, I should have wore the yellow earrings instead. Let me go change. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
with all that being said, I wanted to ask you this specifically because on our show, we like to respect pronouns as best we can. When the queens are in drag, we tend to slip into she, oh girl, oh queen. As a performer, both in and out of drag, being a non-binary person, what
I like
do you-
non-berry.
Non-Derek Berry person.
I am a non-berry person.
That's that whiskey kicking in. But do you think, in your opinion, should we be respecting pronouns at all times, or do we get a little bit of a pass because she's in drag on stage? I wanted to ask
'Cause
you directly.
We talked about this with Gottmik a lot. Because we always say she, so it's like, are we disrespecting Gottmik by saying like, oh, look at her, like she's
in drag.
got an amazing look or whatever? So
I feel like it's a case-by-case scenario.
Okay.
To be honest with you, for me personally, I don't have a preferred pronoun, and I there's only one thing I hate, and it's what people tend to do to artists, who like queer artists or drag artists or anybody who's like does anything costumey. It's very, you're a grown ass man. You're a man. I hate
my
that
God.
condescending bullshit,
Mhm.
because it's just like, first of all, little bitch.
You
Like,
can still get
Say
it.
it for say it for everybody in the back.
Girl, sometimes I have to remind myself too. Like, I'd be like, you know, where I come from, we don't do words. I'm not good with my words, and I'll admit that when I'm pissed, I don't make any fucking sense. Like, I know how to do is be like, "Fuck you, you ugly dumb bitch," like, you know. But you know, I grew up. You know, I know people who are like, I've never had to fight in my life. Well, see, where I come from, I had to fight for everything. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, being in this realm where that's so looked down upon, like, oh, you're a dirty bitch if you decide that, you know, a bitch deserves to get smacked. I don't give a fuck. Bitch, if you come out tell people, say what you want online and I'll give you a little kiki. I'll entertain it a little bit. For what? Shits and giggles. Absolutely.
Right.
But if you really want the smoke, then you come to my show and you let me know what's good. Because I will do it on stage. I will do it at the meet and greet. I will do it outside. And I don't have no fucking shame. Bitch, you want to throw hands? Let's throw hands.
That is
Let's
me.
go.
That's the side that everyone's so offended when they push that button and you show them that side. Then they want to get all scared and, oh, well, I never. It's like, no, bitch, you knew. You knew something was coming.
You text somebody once and they're like, I'm going to call the police. And that's
Call them.
the motherfucking police. I'll call the police for you. 911, I just fucked the bitch up.
That's why he runs away from me. He's like, oh, Jamal's gone. Just let him go. Game
So
over.
mad, let him have a spot.
He's like, well, gotta get Jamal now.
Let's make sure the bail
Shouldn't
money's
have
ready.
pushed that button, girl. I'm telling you.
The Beyonce fund's going to be going towards something else.
But people, you know, that's the thing though. I don't like to be violent because I feel like one, it's expected, but I feel like radical behavior comes from a place of always feeling like I'm, you know, shoved in the corner, or feeling like, you know, you try to silence me, you try to belittle me, you try to do everything you can in the world to make me feel small for something that's honestly your fault. It's just honestly, people always gaslight, you know, queer people, Black people, any minority is often heavily gaslit. And I'm just like,
Totally.
that's my biggest pet peeve. When you fuck up and then you try to tell me I'm wrong.
Yes. Yes.
Bitch, that deserves a couple licks on its own. Just
Drag a girl. Grab the hair and
that
drag.
sets me off. I swear. I studied public relations in college, so I've got like the HR approved response for everything. But inside, I'm just like, where are my brass knuckles and Vaseline? It's time to roll up.
I've told a few Drag Race girls, like, you better calm the fuck down because there's a sidewalk outside.
Oh my God. Oh my
I've told
God.
people before, watch your fucking mouth. Like, I get that you talk to other people like that, but I'm not one of your fucking minions and I'm not one of these fans, bitch. I will fuck you up.
That's right, 100%. And they're always so caught off guard. And it's like, yeah, think about that
Girl,
shit.
you really need to calm down. Tell me to calm down again and I'm really gonna fuck you up.
Then
Hello.
you'll really, yeah.
Oh my God. That's why bitches don't say shit to me. I was talking to Jiggly Caliente the other day.
Jiggly.
And we was having a conversation about fraudulent bitches. And I was like, you know something? I said, it's the truth. Bitches love to do this talking game. Let me tell you something. Anything that I say to you or you is getting told to the person I said it about. I will let every bitch know. Yes, I said this about you. And that's how I feel. But I have a reason to feel, that way. This is why I feel that way. So why did you say this about me? What reason you think that? I think the fuck not. Okay. You know,
Get the girls together. Gather those edges.
people call me messy, but I think I'm just good at organizing other people.
That's all it is.
Together.
That's that Capricornness there, man. It's like, 'cause that's I mean, I'm not like, not to the same degree that you deal with, but you know, I feel like a lot of times like people at work be like, they'll want to say like, oh, Seth's a complainer, he complains too much. And I'm like, I'm not complaining, I'm giving you constructive criticism.
Right.
And if you're not hearing, then that is a different issue. It's like, I'm not complaining, I'm like, this doesn't make sense, this is not complaining. And so I kind of relate to that matter.
No, you know, and also like, it's like I wouldn't lead anybody into the darkness or the wrong direction either. Like, you know, which is one of the reasons why I was really caught off guard by like Candy's 10 minutes, whether or not she said it or the producer said it. Like that whole bit about the like, well, Aja used to tell me I'm not famous, so calm down. Well, yeah, because you were making yourself look crazy. And like there were well, no, it's the honest truth is that people were saying mean things about her. And you know, honestly, she was my friend. She was someone who I really loved and cared about. And I was like, yo, like, I don't want people talking bad about you, but also you're connected to my name right now. So I can't have you going places and starting fights with people or doing anything. And I was trying to humble her.
Okay. Yeah,
Which
that's
honestly,
because that's family, but this is a business still.
Well, a girl she was carrying. And we loved her. We loved her. We still were like, yo, you got this. And it made me feel bad because like I felt like, oh, did I make her feel like she was lower? Because I never meant to do that. I was literally just saying like, hey girl, like, you hinder yourself when you allow the ego to go out of control.
Yeah.
So, draw it back and people will really be into that, and what she did, and she ended up very prosperous. So I was just like, oh, okay, work. I chose to make no further statements on that because I was like, I have nothing to say about this. Obviously, we all know I'm not jealous. Everything she did, I've done already. And, I wish her nothing but the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish her nothing but success and happiness.
It sounds like you're just being a good drag mom to me.
You're trying to be like a good friend too.
The fact that you questioned like some of like her statements and like, oh, was I a bad friend? It tells me that you were a good friend.
Yeah.
That you actually cared enough to be like, what did I do wrong? Because,
Exactly.
I don't want to do that to her.
Well, yeah, I feel like, we all get into those things. We've all said shit to each other before. Has Candy called me, a dumb, ugly bitch? Yes. Have I ever called her a fat, big, bad gorilla? Yes. Like, this is gay shit. This is like drag family 101, gay family 101, ballroom shit. You look like an overgrown orangutan. Like, this is just how we talk. And like, does it mean that we hate each other? No. But I felt like, I felt like I never meant to hurt anyone. So I did feel, I just got to
No worries.
Very, very cash. Do what you need to do.
I just felt like, I didn't mean to do anything. But then I felt like, I tweeted like this genuine response of like, wow, I can't believe my friend would go on TV and drag my name. Honestly, because we never spoke about that.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole year, I barely saw Candy. Like I literally saw her once or twice, and it was brief.
Yeah.
Did you know she was like going on the show then? Like, did you know she was recording? And
I found out by accident. I found out because my partner lied to me and told me someone else got on the show because he's a fucking troll. And he was like, oh, this bitch got on the show. And I was like, really? So I called Candy and I was like, yo, did you get a call back? And she was like,
Crickets. Crickets.
So I leave in a week. And I was like, oh, okay. I was
shit.
like, well, and I have the receipts too. I was just like, I hope you do well. Like, I'm really hoping the best for you. Like, I'm proud of you. I kept tabs on her. Like when she came back, I was like, I hope you're doing good. So, that did really like kind of like catch me off guard. And then I texted her to talk about it. And I was just like, okay. And then, I was like, maybe we can clarify this. So it's not like a thing. Because people are still attacking. Wait, first of all, people are still attacking me. They're like, they're like, you were putting Candy down. I was like, I never put her down.
We're not surprised. We're not surprised.
Which is honestly, again, something I never meant to do. And, I do feel bad about that.
I liked your tweet because you said it in one line. It's like, I had a human reaction, and people forget that, okay, well, let people process. And then 2, it's not your business. So 3, it's probably fine off camera, but y'all are stuck in what these cameras are giving you and trying to stir up some shit that's not there.
Right, because on the stage, Candy's like, oh well, to me it felt like a passing out. Like there's no more House of Asha because there's not.
Oh, I mean, I didn't take shade to that at all because I felt like when that whole thing happened, first they made the dollhouse. They didn't consult me, but I didn't really care because I was doing my own thing and we were all going our own separate ways.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like everything after that got lost in translation, and after that, it was just like, I don't know, things got messy because like everybody was fighting online. And then next thing you know, Candy and Janelle just unfollowed me on all social media. And then I was like, okay. So then I was confused and I texted both of them. Janelle blocked my number. And then Candy was like, oh, look, I feel hurt by what you said. And I was like, well, I just said that I was hurt by the things you said, because you literally said that I was beneath you and that you said I was jealous of you. You know, that's hurtful.
And this is y'all working through it in real time, is what we need to remember, listeners.
And then, then it led to her saying, let's talk on the phone tomorrow. And then I texted her the next day and I said, hey, what's up? No response. And then she blocked my number and blocked me on all social media.
Stop it. Okay.
And then
we all have feelings. We all have feelings.
I just said it is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, like, I thought that, that was not called for. Yeah, but and then I had to, like, at the same time, I have, obviously, my partner is just getting pissed because I'm obviously over emotional. So my partner went on Janelle's Instagram and cursed her out, and
no,
that's a good that's a good bae though. That's a good bae.
But he's a Scorpio, so he was like,
oh my god, I'm a Scorpio.
What he calls, like, he was calling her a WWE big back man bitch.
Oh my god,
he was like, you're a cum bucket, blah blah blah, like an STD vessel.
Oh my god,
STD vessel.
So then Janelle unblocked my number, and then she sent me this long, like, message of, obviously, basically blaming me for what Mark did when I had no idea that he did it.
Gosh.
She was like, basically saying that she was like, I don't even know how to explain it. She was like, obviously that's how you feel. I was gonna she goes, I was gonna settle this with you after the new year. In my mind, I'm like, settle what?
Oh, am I a resolution bitch? What is it?
Well, I was confused. I was like, what? I didn't even know we had beef. So then, all that happened, and I was just like, okay. And then, I was mad at Mark because I was like, you're making the situation worse. And, like, I was already stressed out.
He would curse me out, low key, if that were me too.
Probably.
Well, I kind of made me feel really bad, but then, like, I took a breather and I was like, you know what? I get it. You just care about me. You're trying to go from that. And I tried to be the bigger person. Janelle didn't block me on Instagram, so I sent her a long message apologizing for what Mark did. And I said, look, I hope that you can give me the common courtesy to at least, like, talk about how I feel, because my feelings are not in alignment with what Mark said. Mm-hmm. And, you have to understand, like, he's my partner. He's just being defensive. And, it doesn't mean that I said anything, which, first of all, I can't be accountable for how other people feel.
Well, and people say things that they don't necessarily mean when they're mad too. So Mark, he's upset, defending you. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know Mark. So but I'm assuming Mark may have said things that he did not necessarily mean. So
I black out sometimes when I'm going in on a
yeah, you just say shit to, like, cut deep, right? Like, you're like, fuck you, bitch. Like, you said this, I'm saying this.
We just kind of moved on, and by moving on, I mean, I'm still blocked, and I'm just
blocked and thriving, baby.
To me, I was just like, I don't know what was I felt like I was kind of gaslit, and then I was just kind of again, and then I was just kind of like, okay, but you know what? Let her live her life. I hope she is successful and abundant, and I hope that she one day learns that, how do I say this in what I'm trying to say? I hope that she one day learns the real burdens that come with fame, with spotlight, and how it really is. Because I think that when I've had my first few years and stuff being in the public figure, being in the public eye, I think I was heavily criticized for being so sharp and direct. And,
yes.
Especially like in that follow me video. Oh, like in that follow me video. What was it? You were like, he didn't want his boyfriend to do drag. Absolutely not.
I said it. I said that. Yes, I did, listeners.
Jamal, we finna scrap right now.
Right.
Oh shit.
Shit. No. All tea. I dated a drag queen for 5 years, and never again. I cannot date people who are in the same exact, like, trying to do the same dream that I'm trying to live, because one, it's competitive. Mm-hmm. Two, I don't have the patience for the mess. And three, like, it's a lot of attitude in one place. And, like, that's why I could not date another drag artist, like, ever again. Like,
yeah, it's a lot, because all your drag queens, you think you're like, I'm the shit, like, you're feeling yourself, and and that's, there's nothing wrong with that, that's part of the gig, so when you get like 2, 3, five, however many people doing the same thing in the same space, there are going to be opinions.
Well, you know what was crazy too is that when it was funny because a lot of people had a lot of comments about me not wanting Ty to do drag, but then it was kind of funny too because I had pictures all over social media of me putting Ty in drag, so it was just like, I think
which I knew about. See, I was just being messy because most of the time people take my bait and then we snatch them on the pod.
Damn.
He's talking about me.
No, see what had happened was Aja found me too quickly. The trolls are sleeping after the tweet was sent.
Girl, it's New Year's. Calm down.
Oh no, girl. Well, you know what it is? Like sometimes I find people who have genuine questions and stuff, and so I was like, okay, well, let's see what's popping off today. And I was like, this is a lengthy tweet. And I was like, okay. I was like, this is a lot. I should say something. I should say, hey, do you want to interview me? Because, I mean, you know me already.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That was me being an asshole. But, something, it turned out funny. And here we are. And
that's right.
We're having fun.
A good time.
Yeah.
Which makes me happy because that's just like the tone of our show. Like, we're very lighthearted and we'll throw shade. And somebody who listens to the show is probably like, what the hell is Jamal talking about in this tweet right now? But it's like, I have comments. And it's like, oh, she's going to say something on the podcast.
All right. That seems like a good stopping point for part 1 of our interview with Aja. Thank you again, Aja, for coming on the show. We had the best time kikiing with you. If you're new here and finding us because you're a fan of Aja, thanks for coming. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast and find us on social media. All the links are down below. We really think that you'll like our show. We cover RuPaul's Drag Race every week, bringing you all the recap breakdowns of each episode. It's really a lot of silly fun, a little bit of shade, so make sure you go ahead and subscribe. And if you like the show, feel free to leave us a review. That really helps other people find our show. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week, of course, with part 2 to this interview with Aja. So you don't want to miss that as well. We get into a lot more interesting topics and revisit some of the talk around the House of Aja.